Well, let me start by thank you, our wonderful hosts, for organizing this and for inviting me, and such a responsive audience and rich wealth of communications. I must say, as a very, how can I put it, down-to-earth social and economic historian, I was particularly pleased to be asked to comment on this particular session, which is dedicated to images of piracy. Images deal with self-perception, with propaganda, and with manipulation, which are all issues that ultimately lead us back to identities, and this is a noun that I always pronounce in the plural. I actually don't think there are in the singular. And the perspective which has been provided today, taking as a starting point various registers of literature, we're starting with Hispihal, if I'm surely mispronouncing it, Asterix and the legal reports, and journalism, as in cultured journalism, that was also used by Amedeo, at different times, very different times, and in different places, I think provide us with a great panoramic view of the contradictions and ambiguities of the topics that we are investigating. Narrative contradictions, but also popular culture contradictions, as we've just been shown. You see, the interesting thing and the real necessity of involving also a literature analysis of corsairs and pirates is that it's one of the very rare cases in which us scholars deal with something about which the general population has ideas, strong ideas, differing ideas. And you might have noticed, and I certainly did notice it, that something happened too in this conference which does not frequently happen. All scholars, or at least the vast majority of them, inserted an apologetic statement at the beginning or at some point during their presentations. I'm sorry if I have to deal with mythology on which scholars are ill at ease. I'm sorry if I will talk to you about popular culture, whilst what I do is normally less related to that. But the truth is that when scholars, such as we are, talk, discuss, analyze something which has such a massive impact on the general population, we cannot ignore it. We need to acknowledge it. And frankly, we don't even need to be apologetic about it. In fact, our bosses in all universities on the global scale can be very proud of the impact our work has. Impact. And there are several red threads that emerged in this last session, which I think tie together many of the very interesting things that have been said in the last 2 days. The first one is an overbearing connection between any sort of maritime, sea-related endeavor and mythopoiesis, which is fine, because one in Greece can use Greek nouns knowing that they're fine. Naval and maritime narratives, history, or analysis are incredibly fertile ground for this. The mythology of this common community of seafarers that understand each other across time and space. This mythological global body of maritime custom that, you know, has got this incredible continuity, and it's the same all over the place, yes, for operational issues, yes, but I can assure you after 3 years courtesy of the ERC that for lots of other issues, not. The connection, which was present very strongly today in this session, between violence at sea and state building of all sorts, whether in an active way or in a passive way. The centrality and ambiguity of the relationship between coastal populations and violent seafarers. Ages ago, with Philip de Souza, we were thinking that a great project would have been to try and map on the global scale piratical and corsairing activities, comparing them with their role played in coastal populations. There's a lot more to that. This emerges from Ottoman educated 16th century literature, as from Asterix. Pirates and violence at sea forces states to exercise its jurisdiction and authority in a very delicate scenario. And the way in which these adventures, these events, have been digested by different cultures, I think tells us a lot about these cultures. What is crucial, and maybe it's because I spend my life expressing myself in foreign languages and working on documents in other foreign languages, is how we all need to be exceedingly precise in our descriptions. We as scholars, because we are confronted instead with an incredible and legitimate imprecisions of popular culture in describing phenomenon. At coffee, an hour ago, there was a very heated discussion about what the common man today knows about corsairs. Whether you can talk about booty and knowing that you're talking about chests full of gold coins, as opposed to women in very scantily dressed, lascivious poses. But we need to draw these lines, because the differences were there in the documents. The fact that working on a complicated and complex topic, where the boundaries are constantly shifting, does not mean there were no boundaries. It just meant that the operators knew exactly where the boundaries were and knew exactly how to play the boundaries against each other and the authorities. A fantastic way for scholars to enter into this is through the law. Activities were defined by their own actors and by the authorities that were against them. I was reading Polycanthus' essay, and I was thinking of the words that Stephen Greenblatt was using about empire making in Spanish America. The legal sophistry underlying European imperialism. The fact that the history of globalization and piracy is a global phenomenon, and always was, has always been written in terms of economics. The entirety of the category. But the truth is that the first globalization is legal, is not economic. And the issue of perceptions and perspectives is crucial, because laws are as plural as identities and customs. And the sources we read to analyze, the literature we investigate, is rooted and different, and provides a different perspective. Sir Walter Raleigh is the dashing hero of Elizabethan England. He is the hot pirate. I was expecting one of the Hilliard's miniatures of him. But frankly, for the Spaniards, he was a common thief. My freedom fighter is your terrorist, to go back to the contemporary analysis. One final point, starting from Asterix, I'm very pleased, which I think has been one of the red threads, whether explicitly or implicitly, of the conference. The popular image of the pirate, as opposed to the popular image of the corsairs, which frankly does not exist. There exists a strong literary image of the corsair, but we're always talking about a register which is medium or medium high. The pirate is everywhere. My 5-year-old, knowing that I was coming to a conference on pirates, said, I want to come. But the popular image of pirates is exactly designed because of the ambiguities of pirates. And this is incredibly strongly connected with the Anglophone cultural heritage. And I'm saying Anglophone because I think there's a very strong English root to that, which has been then digested also by US popular culture. The pirate is a free man, and the image of Robin Hood, which was evoked in different ways in these 3 papers, even if not spokenly in the written version, is somewhat of a misnomer. Robin Hood is the good criminal because he steals from the rich and gives to the poor. Pirates are a tad more indiscriminate in their theft, quite apart from the absence of the good King Richard. But within Anglophone mythology, the pirate is the only kind of outlaw which is utterly competent. That is to say, seafaring has got a peculiar status within the social characterization of Anglo-American culture. It's professional. You might be coming from nowhere and be the son of nobody, but in a storm, you either know what you're doing or you flounder. One of the strongest images of the pirate or the outlaw at sea descends from the fact that it provides an incredibly rigidly hierarchical social structure with a hero which can become somebody thanks to a true meritocracy. Superior seamanship guarantees social promotion, which relates to what Molly Green was arguing earlier on today. The incompetent pirate in Asterix is as powerful a critique of Anglo-Saxon hegemony in appropriating this image as it is to the Germans. But the corsair is defined as a man which... This is popular culture. This is March 2011 on the walls of the administrative building of the Sorbonne after a week of student agitation. I don't need to read it. I'm sure we all can read it.
They know English in the Sorbonne?
Oh, yes. Oh, maybe it was a secret message. But you see, this is exactly where, when you uproot a myth from its own culture and you make it global, you lose some of the meanings. The implicit assumption of the graffiti behind me is that in becoming a pirate, you have no relationship with the law. You truly become free. But the bottom line is that corsairs were certainly more formally bound by the law. But the activities of pirates were a very strong generator on the global scale of law, in such a way that the real truth is that no one, at the end of the day, might be less free than the pirate. Thank you.